Welcome to BFC Live, the daily video and podcast series of Business of Cannabis. BFC Live highlights the companies, brands, people, and trends driving the global cannabis sector. Find out all that we do at businessofcannabis.com. Coming up on BFC Live, we connect with Tabitha, Fritz, and Ari Cohen of Fritz Cannabis Company. They've transitioned their edible brand from the legacy market to the legal market. We wanted to connect with them about how that process has gone and how consumers and retailers are finding their products. Ari and Tabitha, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I love you guys, but I love the story too. So I'm going to give you a chance to sort of tell your story of Fritz together, which is a nice thing to sort of hear. And then we're going to talk about where you are today and where you're going. Give us a little bit of background about Fritz.
Yeah, we started this in 2015, casually as an idea to get our friends some edibles. And then early 2016, around May, all the raids happened for Project Claudia at these dispensaries, these original dispensaries in Toronto. And they came back like a week later, but edibles were gone. Like you couldn't find edibles anywhere. TPS was like making edibles their main kind of villain. So you couldn't find them anywhere. So we figured we could start making edibles. We started using vaped weed in making brownies, which made for really, really sleepy brownies for some people.
Lots of CBN.
And we honestly started trading. There was a Facebook group, Buns, in Toronto that started around the time. And it was really all about just like swapping different things without monetary exchange. So we would trade finished product brownies for ingredients to make more. Started making gummies from there, and then really took off when we got invited into the green markets, which were these underground kind of farmer market vibe. Started in 2016, where people could get access to edibles and concentrates.
And topicals.
And topicals, right? Because
any 2.0
flower, even before it was legal, was pretty abundant and anybody could get it. So it was really about giving safe, reliable access to these products. From there, started supplying some wholesale sites online, wholesale for sites online, mail order sites. And then in the fall, when distillate became available, things really, really changed. We were able to precisely dose our gummies and our hard candies. And yeah, pretty much took it from there.
Yep.
And I want you make it sound so simple, but that transition from sort of where you've been and that's those sort of roots to where you are today cannot be an easy path. But talk a little bit about that and sort of how you approached it, who you approached, and how you found that process going from sort of that legacy component to where you are today on shelves.
It's been arduous, I would say, is the best word for it.
Nice word for
from
it.
The very beginning. Yeah, from the beginning, we knew that we wanted to make our way to the regulated market as soon as that was available to us. It's not sustainable to just operate in the legacy market. At least it wasn't for us to do that long term. And so we knew we wanted to get to the regulated marketplace. So once edibles started becoming legal, we started having conversations with different LPs and different groups. And really did not find the right fit for us until last summer, when we were introduced to Meds Cannabis, which is the LP that we're with now. And they were doing a very cool model. They've built out a facility that has 6 sort of subspaces within it that different processors then lease out. So we were able to lease out the space in a licensed facility, which enabled us to get to the regulated marketplace without having to invest in an LP license and making our own facility and all of that. And at the same time, we were fortunate enough to get connected with some investors who believed in our vision, who said, look, we see that you have the knowledge, you have the skills. We went in together, we invest some money in our company, they invest some money in our company, we have joint ownership. And, together we've been, over the last year, we've gotten to the point now, we shipped our first order to the OCS in August, which was insanely exciting and insanely stressful at the same time. And we've been selling out at the OCS. We just keep shipping orders. So now we're growing, right? And now it's about, okay, how do we get efficient? How do we scale up? We've hired some employees, which is super exciting as well, that we can employ people. So yeah, that's it's been about a year for us to get from the beginning of making the transition into actually being transitioned. So I think for a lot of groups that's actually kind of short. So we've been going fast.
Yeah, we learned a lot.
Well, I was going to say you learned a lot at the very beginning of the story too, but like, how is the learning curve going from like being in that facility and now having to make the gummies and make the edibles that you're making at scale, dosed as they are? Like, how has that process been? And like, do you need to be a chemist, I guess?
A steep learning curve.
Yeah.
There were a lot of things we did not anticipate coming from the legacy market, right? When we were doing it before, it was essentially a home business, right? We would make our gummies. If I was out of, sugar, I would run out to Mills and buy some more sugar and use that sugar. Here we have to order the sugar, have a COA for the sugar, have our quality assurance vet approve the sugar.
Approve the vendor.
Approve the vendor that the sugar came from.
Inspect the sugar when it gets here.
Right. Release the sugar when it gets here. Make sure that the container that we're putting it in the processing room is acceptable. Yeah. And then we can use the sugar. But
all very good things, but quite time consuming.
We're not used to that.
And not what we're
But then we want to scoop the sugar in. We have to get a scoop from a vendor that's an approved scoop that QA has gone through the same process for. Yeah. So it's just been a lot. Like, it's a very, very different world.
Yeah.
But it's great. We have an 1,800 square foot beautiful facility where we're producing legal gummies.
Yeah.
That's the dream, right?
So. It is the dream. And talk about how, I mean, before we came on, you talked about there's high demand for your gummies. Talk a little bit about how you found that, because that must be, I guess, rewarding. Like, you've gone through all of this, like all the QA stuff you just described, setting up in the facility, learning to scale the product, learning all those things and getting them on the shelves, and then they're just flying off the shelves. Like, that must be a rewarding experience. How are you finding that? And what's the feedback from consumers and from retailers?
It's exciting. It's really good, right? Like, we're so fortunate because we have so many like fans and customers that have been so loyal to us over the last 5 years. And now they're very excited that our gummies are available. And, they're not just customers. A lot of them work at dispensaries now, right? And work in retail shops. And so they're making purchasing decisions and they're buying our gummies and getting them on their shelves and doing marketing features. And so, I mean, we owe so much to the people in the community and the cannabis community and the people that we've met and become friends with over the last 5 years.
It's pretty cool. So for 3 summers, I believe, we vended at the Kensington Flea Market every weekend. Every Saturday and Sunday, we set up. We were the only cannabis vendor there. Our roots are in Kensington. That's where all our original green markets were. I worked at a dispensary in Kensington. I worked at Hot Box for a while. And the people who used to sell our products at those markets are now working like across the street at one plant and down at the Hot Box dispensary. Like, the transition, we grew up with them, right? Yeah. And it's a nice feeling for sure.
Full circle. It's like, it's really cool, right? Yeah. To like see it come back around and be like, hey, we're still here together. We started out together 5 years ago and we're still here together, like doing it. So it's super exciting. And yeah.
I mean, it seems to me, and I'm not just saying you're the poster children for this, but like, it seems to me this should have been the goal, and maybe was definitely the goal, but didn't necessarily come to reality yet, that this is what the market looks like, right? There are people who were operating really successfully and safely and doing all the things you were doing in the legacy market, transition into the legal market, and those same consumers come with them, right? I think that was, if that wasn't necessarily explicitly the goal, but it absolutely should have been, because those are the consumers that know quality when they see it. They are, they know what they perceive as value and want to buy that again. And they know you, right? Like, it's not as if you're unknown quantities. They know you, they know your products. They want to support you and your products. And I'm hopeful that more people do that transition that you've done, but not too many more, because I want you guys to crush it.
Yeah, like we're focused on that, and we're figuring. We've been talking with some other legacy market producers who've made the transition to figure out how we can work together to get more legacy operators in. Because to your point, like, this is how we get consumers to make the transition, right? Like, you have a brand that you recognize and that you trust, and like that you're willing to make the transition to the regulated marketplace for. So it's the way that we grow the industry, and it's super important, and it's really, really, really difficult, right? Like we both have MBAs, and this has been incredibly difficult. So
yeah, they don't make it easy.
No,
they do not make it easy. Like the absolute mountain of paperwork that has to get done is just there's a very little crossover, I think, between people who are very skilled at growing weed or making brownies and people who can fill out in triplicate forms for Health Canada and make sure that you miss this part, it's getting sent back. There's not a lot there.
The Venn diagram is relatively small.
Yeah, absolutely.
You two are in it, but the Venn diagram is small, and I guess that's the point. And like, it should be bigger. It should be bigger, probably because the things in triplicate are probably overburdensome. But also, I think more and more people will see that it can be a success, right? I think, and that's part of the lesson too, that you can do it. It can be successful. It can be profitable. Your consumers will come with you. All of those things, I think, are case studies in what you guys are doing.
Absolutely. We hope that that's what we will become, right? Like we both are very risk tolerant pioneers. We like going first. We like doing things that other people have not done. And I think I speak for both of us when I say the purpose of that is to make it easier for other people coming behind, right? You don't have to do it the same way that we did it. That's fine. But if somebody else has gone first, it's easier, because now you can at least see what a path looks like. So, we're both very cognizant of the fact that like we're doing this so that other people can go, and we want other people to get into legacy, right? I'd love to see people who have a table next to me at the Green Market have a shelf next to me at a store. Like that would be amazing. So that's something that we care about, and we're really hoping that we can help drive that.
Yeah, like our philosophy has kind of always been there's room for everyone to eat here, right? As long as people are producing a good product that people want, I'm not worried about this guy next door that's making, another edible, taking food out of our kids' mouths, right? There's plenty for everyone. If people do it right, everyone eats, right? Yeah. And that's
and consumers win at the end. Yeah. They have variety and they have what they want.
Yeah, I was struck when you said the MBAs. Like, I think it's a very compelling MBA case study, actually, about sort of navigating your way in a new industry and a new market, and sort of the trials and tribulations of what you've done. I look forward to someday someone writing sort of their case study and their thesis on exactly this Fritz's cannabis journey. So I congratulate both of you and look forward to connecting with you down the road, hopefully in person at some point.
Yes, that would be great.
That'd be great.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Tabitha and Ari, nice to see you.
You too. Thanks, Jay.
Take care.
That was Tabitha Fritz and Ari Cohen of Fritz's Cannabis Company. If you like this program, please rate and review us wherever you heard the show. It helps support the work we do. We're able to do what we do because of our ongoing partners, including Alterna Savings, Cannabis at Work, Cannabis Benchmarks, Can Delta, Gallagher, Headset, and Torque and Main. Find out all that we do at businessofcannabis.com.